Hello everybody, it's Tarun. Welcome to your third tutorial in the CSS for presentation course. In this tutorial, I'll start with some big concepts. Okay, so let's start. There are a few big ideas that you need to get your head around to be comfortable with how CSS behave. And I'm going to introduce you to these concepts now. So we do not have to slow down for a lecture once, and we'll be rolling through style properties. Each of these ideas will certainly be revisited and will be illustrated more in the upcoming units. So let's see the first big concept, which is inheritance. Okay, are your eyes the same color as your parents? Did you inherit their hair color, your unique smile? Well, just as parents pass down traits to their children, styled HTML elements pass down certain style properties to the elements they contain. Okay, in the exercise which we did in the last tutorial, when we styled the paragraph element in a small sans serif format, okay, any element which was there inside the paragraph will also would have become small and sans serif as well, even though we didn't write a rule for that specifically. Okay, that is because it inherited the styles from the paragraph it is in. Okay, so now let's see the document structure. This is where an understanding of your document structure becomes important. As I have told you before, HTML documents have an implicit structure or hierarchy. For example, the article that we have been playing with contains an HTML root element, and it contains an head and a body, and the body contains heading and a paragraph element. A few of the paragraphs in turn contain inline elements such as images img or emphasize text em. Okay, so now let's see what is the inheritance relation, like the relation between parents and children. The document tree becomes a family tree when it comes to referring to the relationship between elements. All the elements contained within an element are said to be its descendants. So I'll just show you one figure, then I'll tell you what I'm trying to say. Well, this is the document tree that I was referring to. The document tree, as I told you, finally becomes a family tree when it comes to referring to relationship between elements, and all the elements contained within a given element are said to be descendants. So for example, the h1, h2 and p and em all and img element in the document are all descendants of the body element, and an element that is directly contained within another element with no intervening hierarchical levels is said to be the child of that element. Conversely, the containing element is called the parent. For example, the em element here is the child of p element and p is the parent. Okay, and all of the elements higher than a particular element in hierarchy are its ancestor. Two elements within the same parents are siblings, and we don't refer to aunts or cousins, so the analogy stops there. And this may all seem academic, but it will come in handy when writing CSS selectors. So I'll just move forward to the next thing, which is pass it on, or passing the qualities of from you to your descendants. So when you write a font related style rule using the p element as a selector, the rule applies to all of the paragraphs in the document as well as the inline text elements they contain. So we have seen such examples till now. Okay, in the example I told you, I had just used a paragraph and inside that an em element. Okay, and notice that I have been saying that certain properties are inherited, and it's important to note that some style sheet properties inherit and others do not. In general, properties related to the styling of text, font size, color, style, etc. are passed down. Properties such as borders, margins, backgrounds and so on that affect the boxed area around the element tend not to be passed down. This makes sense when you think about it. For example, if you put a border around a paragraph, you would want a border around every inline element. Okay, and you can use inheritance to your advantage when writing style sheets. For example, if you want all text elements to be rendered in Verdana font, you could write separate style rules for every element in the document and set the font face to Verdana. A better way would be to write a single style rule that applies the font face property to the body element and let all the text elements contained in the body inherit that style. Any property applied to a specific element will override the inherited values for that property. Going back to the example, we could specify that the EM element should appear in a serif font, and that would override the inherited sans serif font. Okay. So now let's see the second big concept, which is conflicting styles, the cascade. Did you ever wonder that why they are called cascading style sheets? Okay. CSS allows you to apply several style sheets to the same document, which means there can be some conflicts. And for example, what should the browser do if a document's imported styles says that h1 element should be red, but its embedded style sheet has a rule that h1 is purple? The folks or the people who wrote the style sheet specification anticipated this problem and devised a hierarchical system that assigns different weights to the various sources of the style information. The cascade refers to what happens when several sources of style information are there for control of the element or page. The style information is passed down until it is overridden by a style command with more weight. Okay. So for example, if you do not apply any style information to a web page, it will be rendered according to the browser's internal style sheet. Okay. And individual users can apply their own styles as well, which overrides the default styles in their browser. However, if the author of the web page has attached a style sheet, that overrides both the user and the user agent styles. The only exception if the user hasn't identified a style as important, in which case the style will trump all. Okay. The style sheet source is one hierarchy that determines which style wins. As we have learned, there are three ways to attach style information to the source document, and they have a cascading order as well. Generally speaking, the closer the style sheet is to the content, the more weight it is given. Embedded style sheets that appear right in the document in the style element have more weight than external style sheets. In the example that started this in the above tutorial, in the last tutorial, the h1 elements would end up purple as specified in the embedded style sheet, not red as specified in the external .css file. Okay. Inline styles have more weight than embedded style sheets because you cannot get any closer to the content than a style right in the element's opening tag. To prevent a specific rule from being overridden, you can assign it importance with exclamation mark important indicator. Okay, so you can assign any style important with the help of this element. Okay, so now let's see specificity. Once the applicable style sheet has been chosen, there may still be conflicts. Therefore, the cascade continues at the rule level. When two rules in a single style sheet conflict, the type of selector is used to determine the winner. The more specific the selector, the more weight it is given to override conflicting declaration. Okay, you might be thinking that it is a little too soon to be discussing specificity because I have only looked at one type of selector till now, and for now just put the term specificity and the concept of some selectors overriding others on your radar. We'll visit them in the later units. Okay, so now let's see the rule order. Finally, if there are conflicts within the style rules of identical weight, whichever one comes last in the list wins. So I'll just show you one example. Okay, so I'll just okay, I am having this web page and I am adding this style element to my page. Here the paragraph selector has been given three colors, red, blue and green. So if I save, and now let's see what happens in the browser. Okay, so you can see that the paragraph last color was green, so it showed us green color. Okay, and the resulting color green because the last declaration overrides the previous two. So now moving forward to the next big concept, which is the box model. As long as we are talking about big CSS concepts, it is only appropriate to introduce the cornerstone of the CSS visual formatting system, the box model. Okay, the easiest way to think of the box model is that browsers see every element on the page, both block and inline, as being contained in a little rectangular box. You can apply properties such as borders, margins, padding and background to these boxes and even reposition them on the page. So we'll be going into that a lot more in detail in the coming units. Okay, but I'll just give you a general introduction. To see the elements roughly the way browser sees them, I've written a style rule that add odd borders around the content in a simple in the sample article. Okay, so I'll just add them. Just wait. Okay, so now let's see what happens in the browser. Okay, so you can see that it has made border around everything, and just wait, what did I do? Okay, I forgot to close it. Okay, so now let's see. So you can see that it has made border around everything. Okay, so this was something about the box model. So now let's move forward to the last topic in this unit and in this tutorial, which is grouped selectors. This is a good opportunity to show you some handy style rule shortcuts. Okay, if you ever need to apply the same style property to a number of elements, you can group the selectors into one rule by separating them with commas. This one rule has the same effect as 5 other rules listed previously. So I'll just show you what I'm trying to say. So here if I had written them in this manner, so did it would have changed it. So now let's see. So you can see that it just changed the color of the paragraph because I removed that style, but it did not show remove the borders around the text. Okay, so I just want to tell you that this chapter covered all the fundamentals of CSS, including rule syntax, ways to apply styles to a document, and the central concepts of inheritance, the cascade, and the box model. And the style sheet should no longer be a mystery, and from this point on, we'll merely be building on this foundation by adding properties and selectors to your arsenal, as well as expanding on the concept introduced here. Okay, and I just want to tell you one more thing, that CSS is a very vast topic, and it is well beyond the scope of this basic course. So I'll just be talking to you about basic CSS in this course, and if you like it and if you want to learn CSS in advanced manner, then you can refer to some books or material online. Okay, for material online you can go to W3C organization's site and csstricks.com. Okay, so this was all from my side in this tutorial, and in the next tutorial I'll start with next unit, which is formatting text. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next tutorial.